Welcome back to my channel. So it's July 19th and we're here in our field for our final planting of the year. So what we are going to do today is take our water rooted or partially rooted stem cuttings, put those into a row, and then also cut down a few new stems behind me and put those into another row, and then cover everything up and see how it does. So hang on and I hope you enjoy. So the first thing that I am going to do is I'm going to gather up the rest of the stems that we are going to use for our straight stem cuttings into the ground. And like I did before, I'm going to try and choose some of the larger stems because those will have a higher likelihood of success. But also I'm going to choose stems that are near the edge of the field because of all of the ticks that we saw last time. So you can see right here is a new shoot coming up, which is always an exciting thing to see. But yeah, I'm gonna cut a number of stems, put them down into our little furrow that I made, and see how they do. This would be the by far the preferred way to propagate them if we can actually be successful this way, because we don't have to root anything. We just have to come in here in the middle of July as it is now, cut them down, dig some holes and put them in there. So that would by far be the best solution as far as propagation goes, because again, it saves us the many thousands of dollars that we would have to spend if we were going to use rhizomes, and rooting stems themselves is quite time consuming. So we want to be as efficient as possible. That's a nice one. Just trying to avoid the ticks. I did spray myself with some tick repellent, but can never be too careful. Sadly, a lot of the big ones are on the inside, where I really am not a fan of going. So we'll do what we can on the outside. As you can see, a lot of these are my height now, which is good. They've definitely been growing quickly since we've been out here, which is good. Okay, so these are the stems that we are going to put in the ground for our straight stem cuttings. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take the leaves off again. And then, as we talked about before, these each have nodes. So that's a node, that's a node, there's a node under here. So what I'm gonna do is actually cut these, not plant the entire stems, because from what I've seen online, sometimes if the entire stem is planted, once it starts sprouting at one of them, it'll stop and not do any of the other ones. So I'm gonna cut them approximately in half, and then plant each of these so that each of these can hopefully make a plant. We'll see how it goes. Should have brought some smaller scissors, I think. If you're interested, this is also how sugarcane in general is propagated. They just use the billets, as they call them, which are just these pieces of stem after they've been cut, and they plant those straight in the ground. Sugarcane has to be planted like once every few years, like 3 to 5 years, because the yield falls off if you don't replant it. Whereas obviously, as I've talked about before, this grass should be good for like 20. So basically plant it once and you are good for a couple decades. Yeah, it was interesting. These like vines actually started to crawl up our stems, which you wouldn't really expect a vine to crawl up a, like, you know, freshly made stem. I mean, a tree certainly, but not a, you know, piece of grass, I would think, but apparently it does. So yeah, this is the method of propagation that I'm hoping is successful for next year, so that I can literally just buy a field, dig a furrow, which is just a little like small ditch type thing in the ground, and then plant stems in it, and they will just grow on their own. That's what I'm hoping for, but we'll just have to test it, and that's what we're doing today. So since this is just the second year of growth of our field, these stems aren't even that large. Like, they should be even larger next year, which will be a good thing, because obviously the bigger they are, the more likely they are to propagate, and propagation is the name of the game. That's a whole little node right there. Excellent. So we're finished now. So here's all of the stems that I just cut. As you can see, there are a few stems that have a bud forming actually already, so that's a very good thing for us. But I was able to cut all of these and, you know, take all the leaves off and stuff in about 20 minutes. So I mean, this is, you know, probably 50 or 60 stems, and they could each have multiple shoots at each node. So if this works, which I hope it does, it'll be a lot easier of a way to propagate than having to dig up the rhizomes and do all that stuff. So these are ready to plant, so I will just show you now the water rooted stem cuttings that I have been soaking in water for the past couple weeks, to varying degrees of success. So here are the stem cuttings. So as you can see, some of them have pretty nice roots in them, which is good. Some of them do not, unfortunately, which is, I mean, a little bit. And then also, so this is a leaf coming out, not a, so that is a new root, I'm pretty sure anyway. So when I plant this, obviously I will do the root under the ground and then the leaf above the ground, obviously. So here are the 25 that I have. Like I said, varying degrees of roots and shoots. So another good shoot here, a very tiny root, but you know, we will plant all of these and see how they do. Ideally, I would wait until everything had a full root on it, but one, they are all happening at different times, and two, it's almost July, like, well, it's the 19th now, so there's only about 8 or 10 weeks until we have potentially our first frost, and then it stops all of the growth. So I want to get everything in the ground today and just see how it does. So with that, we have our water rooted stem cuttings and our fresh cut stems, and we are going to plant them and see how they do, basically. So let's go with the fresh cut stems first. What they do when they plant sugarcane is they will do a number of stems at, like, overlapping each other, because the germination rate for those is not very good. But what I'm going to do is do a little bit of some different options. So I'm going to first do a line of end-to-end stems, see how far we can get in our row that I made. So as you can see here, the row is not particularly straight, but that's okay. I don't think the plants are going to care. But yeah, I'm going to do one single row all the way down, and then however many else I have, I will start overlapping. And as I said earlier, this is by far the preferred method, so I hope it works, because that would make it very easy to propagate future fields that are going to be a lot bigger than this one. And a little longer one. The end. So that's one entire run of stems in our little furrow that I made here. So I'm going to start doubling them up. How many do I have left? It's a really nice shoot right there. So hopefully we'll see a little bit of activity above the surface before the end of the growing season this year. That'd be nice. But the real test is going to be how much we get next spring. So I'm gonna make sure that I remember where each of these rows are. Might put up a little sign so that I know that this is the stem area versus the water-rooted stem cuttings that are going to go just in a few holes right next to this. But in general, this is a pretty easy process. Then all we're going to do is cover this up with a little shovel real quick, and then we'll be done with this row. Oh, not a lot of dirt in the back here, unfortunately. To borrow some from farther up. This dirt's a bit more compacted than I would probably like to have it be, but they can grow here. It'll be a good experiment for future locations. Good luck, guys. Make me proud. I'm just lightly stepping on it to get some good contact with the soil. Not too much to make it super compacted, hopefully. Like I said, we might not see much this year. Hopefully they'll be establishing some good roots for next year. This is super easy compared to the rhizomes that I've put in the ground before. And there we go. So our first row of, or our only row of straight up stems in the ground is complete. So we will check on that in a future video, see how it does, but it may not do anything until next year. Hopefully it does something next year though, and we'll see how it goes. See if this is our propagation technique for the future. Now our final planting event of 2025 is these water-rooted stem cuttings with our trusty old auger that we used before. So we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna be done for the year for planting. $25. Holes. Whew. Even on not a super hot day, it's still a lot of work. So take our rooted stem cuttings, put them in the ground, make sure that the stem is above the level of the soil. One. So hopefully these, with their leaves at least, will be able to tell us how they're doing before the end of the season. Oh man, look at those roots. That's raring to go. Yeah, some of these rooted very well, some did not. I'm not sure if it was a size thing or what, but we will see how they turn out. So that was our last of our 25 water-rooted stem cuttings. So I'm just going to take a little bit of water I had left over. It is going to rain in like a half hour, so I don't really need to do this. Actually, it might be raining now, but if you've got it, you know, might as well use it. So just to recap, on the right, you can see our 25 water-rooted stem cuttings. On the left is a row of doubled up fresh cut stems. We will see how they go, and hopefully one of these two will be our propagation technique for the future. So until then, we will wait and see what happens. What we did today is we planted our 25 water-rooted stem cuttings and also a row of freshly cut stems in our field, and these are our final plantings of 2025. So we'll see how they do later this fall and especially next spring, see which ones come up or not and which will be our planting technique for our next field. So until then, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.